Hi, I'm Terry Curry. We're here this evening to talk a little bit about running in Muscatine, Iowa. We're going to have some guests on. They're going to tell us some of the secrets they have about running and how they train and what they do and why they do it, which is more important to a lot of people. We'll talk about some of the rewards that are associated with running, some of the pitfalls and some of the things that happen that are disappointing, but also some of the things that are really a lot of fun. The title of the show is Wildebeests Running Friends. There's a group in Muscatine that meets every Saturday morning about 8 o'clock at the Y. They run various courses around the community, and we're going to be talking to that group of people today. So with that, I'm going to turn to my right here, and we have Joe Timpson and Paula Gillespie. Joe, what do you do for a living?
I'm a firefighter paramedic here in Muscatine.
Okay, and Paula?
I work at quality at H.D. Hines.
Joe is a unique person because he not only runs races around Muscatine, 5Ks, but he also does ultramarathons. Ultramarathons, Joe, are what?
Basically, they're considered anything above a marathon distance, which is 26.2. So 26.3 could be an ultra, but usually they're a minimum of 50K, which is 31 miles to pretty much infinity. I mean, they have some that are like 1,000 miles long. So
one of the things that I want to ask you, Joe, is how do you train? You do really well in 5Ks, and you also do really well in ultras. It's such a gap, because for those of you that don't know, a 5K is 3.1 miles. And Joe participates in a lot of 5Ks around town, and he's always up there either winning or in the top 3 or 4 contestants. And he does the same thing in ultras. But how do you switch gears from one of those to the other?
You know, the speed was just kind of an odd thing this year. Usually I haven't been that fast on the 5Ks. Last year I put so much base mileage in. That's just where you're putting mileage in to just get some endurance built up. And I put so much of that in that I think I lost probably about 15 pounds. And then by the end of the summer, the speed was just there. And towards the end of the summer, I shortened up my mileage and concentrated on speed. So that just kind of came with it.
Paula, you participate on Saturday mornings a lot. What's in it for you? Why do you like running?
Well, I got into it for stress reducer, and now it's more of a social life for me. Running with other people, I absolutely love it. We've got an awesome group, all age groups. A lot of time we're running and we're talking, and a lot of it's good advice from other people and support and fun. It's just absolutely fun. You know, it's like people that don't run think, oh, that person's crazy. What are they doing out there? And others that do think, yeah, I like that. You know, I'm getting these benefits from it. So it's a major support group in running. It's fun.
I think it was last summer, I was running with Jeff Fick one day. He was in town, and we came upon you down at the bottom of Hauser Hill, or right in that area there. What were you doing? I thought you were looking for money in the gutters, because you kept bending over and picking things up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hauser Street, because of construction, and I think because of the garbage place down there, there's nails on the side. Way on the side, there's nails all the time. And when I run down Hauser on the edge, I pick up the nails, and I can get a good handful a lot of times. There's quite a few of them.
Where do you run around Muscatine? What's your favorite course?
We had a run one time, and it was called the Wildebeests Run, I believe, right? Where
Yes.
we went from Discovery Park, down Hauser, the riverfront, up Cedar, up Mulberry, back out to Hauser, and back to the Discovery Park. I love that route. It's a nice long route.
Joe, what was that about too? Because you organized that run. That was the one that started in Discovery Center, and it was a little bit different.
Yeah, I just, a lot of marathons or ultras, sometimes you see like an equalizer event, and it just basically goes by age and gender, and they just lump you into a time. And I thought it'd be neat to try one where you based it on somebody's prior 5K time. And so if it took somebody an hour to run 3 miles, well, then they'd get a buffer that would go according to that. So the people that are usually slower and way at the back and seeing everybody finish long before them. For once, they would be at the front, getting to hold everybody off, and the people that are usually up front would be at the back, having to work their way through the pack.
Seemed like everybody finished about within 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, from
of
the
each
very
other.
last person to the very first person, it was done, I think, within 5 minutes.
That's great.
So-
Another question. Having never crossed the finish line first, what does that feel like? How do you, I mean, what's the rush there?
You know, I'm not sure I can describe that. It's usually just been completely unexpected. That's just something completely new. Especially being somebody that's always been towards the middle of the pack. You know, I've never been up there either, and it's just kind of new this year. And it's a motivator. I'd run anyway, and I'd run just as hard as I always do, but I mean, that definitely gives you some goals and stuff. But now, that's on the shorter races, but on the ultras, there's nobody around. You know, most people could care less. I mean, you get no notoriety from it. There's nothing to go with it except personal achievement. And really, when it comes down to it, I do it for the ultras. The other stuff's just a side thing.
Joe talked a few of us into going to Peoria this year, and we ran in an ultra over there, which was the Farmdale trail run. And there's a picture of Joe crossing the finish line, and it was 3 11-mile loops that you completed. Well, Joe's crossing the finish line. If you look over right behind him, you see me, and I'm not right behind him. I'm a whole lap behind him. So he was way out in front, and really had a good. I think he had a good run that day, except for he pulled a muscle or something. There's something.
I just started crashing, but no, it was a great run. It's probably one of the better runs I've had. It was just an awesome day too. So.
For those of you that don't know, running a trail is so totally different from running on the street, because you're running, at least there it was like a footpath most of the time, and you have to really watch what you're doing. Paula, you talked a little bit about the group. Do you like running it as a group or running alone, or what's your preference? Because I've seen you running by yourself too.
Right. I definitely need to run with other people. It's a major motivator for me. It's like, okay, you know, sometimes you get up and you don't feel like going for a run. You know, it's like it's cold out there, or I'm tired, and I think to myself, okay, you know, you got to be there at 8. There's going to be people there. They're going to want you to run with them. So it's a major motivator for me, because after years of running, just that extra little motivator gets you out the door. When, you know, it's easy to say no, you know, and then once you're there, everybody's just, you know, they're just so much fun to be around. Everybody's supportive. It's nice to have other people that have the passion I have for running, and it's exciting. It really is. Our group is awesome.
It's knowing somebody's there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
knowing somebody's there. Okay, just you know, in terms of some of the things this past year that we were participants in, that were kind of the long shots for the year. There was a group of about 25 of us who went to St. Louis and ran the St. Louis Marathon and half marathon. Another group of 10 or 12 went to Marathon, Iowa, or Storm Lake, and ran what's called Marathon 2 Marathon. We also did the Peoria Farmdale Trail Run, and of course every year there's a bunch of us go up to the Quad Cities and run the Quad City Marathon. And then there's another event that, Paul, I don't think you participated in. I did a year ago, but it's called the Pewterman. Is that right? Am I pronouncing that right?
Pewterman Pentathlon.
Pentathlon. Joe, can you tell me a little bit about that? I know about it, but tell the folks.
It's a fun little race. What it is it's kind of like the Olympic decathlon you see on TV, but it's just 5 running events, and they just do you start off with a 5K, then you do a quarter mile, then you do a mile, then you do a 100-yard dash, then you finish it off with a 10-mile run, and you have like 20 minutes in between, and they just kind of give you scores based on how close you are to the world record in your age group event. So it's kind of a low key, but it's a real fun, unusual event. So.
And the 5K hill and the 10-mile hills are really significant.
They're nice. They're nice.
They're significant. Joe likes hills,
Yes,
so he likes hills and he likes trails. But they were. I remember that from last year, and they were huge. They were Hauser Street Hill. The one was, and the other was probably 3rd Street. You know,
Yeah,
so.
they're nice.
Okay, we're going to get some more folks on here in just a second. Again, sitting with me is Mike and Daphne Donald. Both of you two did something this year that you probably didn't think you were going to do 5 or 10 years ago. And you did two things a year ago.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you? What did you do?
Well, in St. Louis in April of this year, we went to did a half marathon. It's the first half marathon we ever did. Never thought I'd do something quite like that. The year previous, joined the Running Friends group, and that was a pretty good motivator for us. I never thought about doing anything like that. All the farthest run I've ever done was the Bix. So half marathon being 13.1 miles. It's quite a bit. So
How long have you been running?
on and off for quite a few years, actually. There'd be like maybe a year or so I would quit, and I'd get back into it again, but quite a bit.
Okay. Is it hard to get up for? I mean, especially a half marathon. I can remember the first time I ever ran one. It seemed really hard to get up for that half marathon.
Oh yeah, it seemed pretty intimidating to, because it was the first big run. So I thought I was just gonna do it whatever it took. If I had to do a little walking, I wanted to make it to the finish line and just give it my best effort. And I was pretty satisfied with my time.
So you did a half, and you finished that, and you thought, "Gosh, I wish I could do this again."
Oh yeah, next day.
Yeah.
No.
but the Quad Cities then came along.
Yes, and that was really a goal that was never in my mind years back. I just never thought I could do anything like that, so never even crossed my mind as being a goal. So after we got the half marathon under our belts, I thought I'd give that a try. So we did a lot of training, a lot of long distance running, 12 miles, 15 miles while we were training. So that was it's quite a bit of work to get ready for something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Daphne, how about you? You did something this year too. You did two things this year too. Coincidentally.
We went to St. Louis with the Running Friends. That was our first opportunity to do long distance running. Like Mike said, we hadn't really thought about it. Most we'd ever done is the Bix, and I loved the St. Louis. I thought the half marathon was great. It was a nice day. We got to watch all our friends come in from the marathon, and so I was ready to go.
That was a very well organized.
Yeah, it was fun.
St. Louis.
It was.
And then we did the Quad City Marathon. That was my goal all along, to do a half marathon first and then the full marathon. And I kind of dragged Mike along a little bit with the full marathon, but I enjoyed it.
I don't think there's many people that do both for the first time in the same year.
Yeah.
I think that's unusual. And somebody can argue with me, but I think that's pretty unusual.
Yeah.
Because I can remember finishing a first half marathon and thinking, how do you do that twice?
Yeah.
How do you do it
true.
twice? But you guys both did.
Right.
Daphne, you had something special happen in the Quad Cities. Tell us about that.
Well, this wasn't even really a goal of mine, because I wasn't sure. The most I'd ever run, the half marathon is 13, and then prior to that, in training, the most I did was 20 miles. So I just didn't know what that last 6 miles would bring. But I qualified for Boston at the Quad City Marathon because I had the advantage of my age, being a little bit older. So
there's
what
nothing
the heck?
wrong with that.
Yeah, so that was exciting. I wanted to do well, but I really didn't think about that so much as just I wanted the experience to see how it would go. So I was thrilled, very pleasantly surprised.
So the two of you and myself and my wife and Kathy Whiteside and her husband Bob, who are from West Branch. The 6 of us are all going to the Quad Cities, and Joe is still sitting out in the audience, and I think he's going too. So we've got at least 5 of us that are going to be in Boston in April 20th.
April 20th.
And that's just awesome.
That's exciting.
It is.
Should be a fun trip.
Yeah.
It should be. It should be.
I'll be cheering you guys along.
Yeah, you and Vicki and Bob will be there.
That's the nice thing about having something to look forward to. Now we're forced to train all winter long, where sometimes it's easy to think you're going to take a little time off, but we won't be doing that this winter.
How are you going to train this winter?
Well,
have you thought about it, or are you just going to do it?
I'm not a morning person, so getting up early in the morning to run isn't for me. And now that it gets dark so early, I'll definitely run on the weekends. And then last winter when we were training for the half marathon, I did a lot of treadmill inside. So I'll probably do that again, but I'm going to really try and hit it on the weekends, get all my miles in when it's sunny. Hopefully we have a good winter.
Mike, how about you? What are you doing this winter?
I've been doing a lot of hunting, so I haven't been doing too much running here lately, but that's all done. So I did a little bit of running on the treadmill at the Y here a couple of weeks ago. It's the first time I ran on a treadmill. That was kind of different. Last couple of days I've been out for a few runs in the afternoon.
nice,
So
yeah.
I get off 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it gives me some time to get some running
daylight.
in before it gets dark. So.
Couple of things just before we get too far along here is that, remember, if you're thinking about going into a running program, please check with your doctor. Everybody here maybe didn't check with their doctor, but everybody's kind of worked into it gradually. Make sure there's no reason not to run that your physician may want to hold you back on. So,
As far as that goes, over the years I've been involved with the coronary risk factor since I was a young kid, and one thing I've noticed is the vitals they've taken every 5 years. They check me out pretty thoroughly. There was a time when I had borderline high blood pressure, not too bad. Well, all that's in really good shape, and I don't know if that has anything to do with my cholesterol levels, but they're really, really optimal. I just got some results back a couple of weeks ago, so
benefits.
quite a
You're right.
bit healthier. So
Benefits of running.
makes you feel better. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
And we're going to switch some chairs around here, and we'll be back.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Terry Curry. We're back again, and this time we are with Terry Lyon and also with Nancy Schell. Nancy, I'm going to ask you the questions. Terry's going to be on with us a little bit later, too. Nancy, I noticed you run probably more 5Ks than anybody else in the whole running group. I mean, it's like every weekend you're doing a 5K here and a 5K there.
Well, I love to run, and before I joined the group, that was my thing. That's how I got myself out there, was to go out and compete. I like to run with other people, and it was hard where I lived out of town to run. So I love to run. I love to compete. I always have. So you go and you find the races in Muscatine, and you run those, and then you hear about races in Quad Cities, and you start running those. And I joined the Corn Belt Running Club in Quad Cities. And if you keep looking around, the internet's wonderful now. You keep looking around, you can find a race every weekend. And so I usually average about 25 or 30 5Ks.
Wow, that's about
each year. So
2/3 of the weeks or so out of the year. But you'll do 2 on a weekend.
Yeah, I've done 2 on a weekend.
What's
sometimes.
the furthest you've traveled?
To do a 5K, probably no farther than Ames, 150 miles or so. I've been over to the Des Moines area, west of Des Moines, well, I guess Winterset. I've been up to Ames, mostly in this area, though Cedar Rapids. I do a lot of races in Cedar Rapids and Quad Cities and Burlington. So.
Nancy did something this year like Mike and Daphne were just talking about too, I believe. First half marathon?
I did. I've done many half marathons, but
Okay.
this year I did my first full marathon. In fact, I did two full marathons this year then, and that is something I didn't know if I'd ever get the courage to do. It took my running friends to help me and people to train with, and I finally got the courage up to try it. It just, when you say 26 miles, that sounds like a long.
It's the
point
.2.
It's a .2 that gets you.
That's right.
But it's something I dreamed of doing. It's something my daughter challenged me to do, but until I joined with these gals, I never really thought I'd get out there and do it. But
Well, you did it at Quad Cities?
I did it in the Quad Cities, but I did it in Storm Lake also, the marathon
Okay,
to marathon.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and then I was going to run the marathon in St. Charles, and
We haven't talked about that.
you haven't talked about
Not yet.
St. Charles
No.
yet. We ran in Ike.
We ran an Ike in St. Charles. For those of you that don't know, we a group of us, about, what were there, 10 or 12 of us?
11, I believe.
11,
Yeah.
went to St. Charles, Missouri. It was on the tail end of Ike, the hurricane. The marathon and half marathoners were stopped at about mile 10 and finished, and it was done. And we found out the next day, a group of us ran down the trail and found out the next day that there were trees had fallen over the trail that we were supposed to run in the second half of the marathon, as well as one of the roads was flooded out from it. And so everybody got a keychain, I think it said I ran with Ike on it, and they changed the plaques and so on that said I ran with Ike rather than a full marathon, but that was exciting. One other thing you did though, Nancy, this year.
What's that?
One
Farmdale.
other thing, yeah. We talked a little bit about.
We had a lot of fun at Farmdale.
We did. We talked a little bit about that with Joe earlier, and Farmdale was a lot of fun and a challenge for the three of us, I know.
Yeah,
and
very much a challenge.
And we had a great time. But tell us about your experience.
Well, I got the honor, I guess you'd say, of being the very last person to finish. And I was out there by myself, and I was determined to finish, and I was walking a lot of that last loop. We ran 3 11-mile loops, and I was the last person out there. The only problem was, even though I'd seen the same path twice before, they started taking the arrows down, probably, I'm sure by mistake, and I got lost a few times. I backtracked a couple times, and luckily the last time I backtracked, I ran into a very nice gentleman that knew the course, and he hadn't been able to get out to start in the morning with the rest of us. So he'd just come out to do a lap of the course, and luckily I ran into him, and he knew the way back. Well, sort of, he knew the way back. You were both lost. We were both lost, actually. Actually, we said, well, we think this looks right, you know. But we got back to where the last water stop was, and it was gone, and it looked so different without that water stop there. We did a double take looking around, but we started on back to the parking lot from there. There was just a few miles left, I believe, from there, and ran into my wonderful friend Joe.
Joe Timpson.
Joe Timpson came looking for me, and thank goodness. And so I finished. It wasn't pretty time-wise.
Well, and
but,
what did you get though?
I don't know why they honor the very last person in, but I actually got a really large, large rock that says was Ultimate Ultra Runner on it.
33-mile Ultimate Ultra Runner 2008 Farmdale Trail Run.
Yeah. So I got the largest rock I think of anybody in the group, but this belongs to the whole group because the rest of the guys and gals were all awesome, and they all had awesome times. Mine was like over 10 hours, I think, to finish.
But you had the biggest crowd at the finish line of anybody finishing, didn't you, Tim?
Everyone was applauding for you.
That's right.
They were.
That's right.
Well, I had finished the second loop at 6 hours. I thought, oh, I'll be in by 9 hours for sure. But it was quarter after, or 10 hours and 15, 16 minutes, something like that.
The sun was going down.
Yeah, it was getting.
You saw it go up and then it went down. So.
I was wishing I had my cell phone with me at that point, but luckily I met my good friends, and they came in with me then. So.
One last thing. I know you spent a lot of time this year with your sister, I believe, and you did explain what you did. It was you participated in a very long walk.
Yeah, a very special walk that the Susan G. Komen Foundation does. It's called the Breast Cancer 3-Day Walk. They do it in, I think, 14 different cities around the country. It's a 3-day event. You go and you walk 60 miles in 3 days. You walk 20 miles each day. And what you do is you raise money to fight breast cancer. My sister's a breast cancer survivor. She's been a survivor for 6 years now. And she told me several years ago that she wanted to do this walk. We were daunted by the $2,200 we had to each raise to enter the walk, but we did it. We worked together and we raised the money. My running friends helped me too. We had a fundraiser run too, and I raised over $400 with my running group helping me too. But it was awesome. I went to Chicago and we walked in August for 3 days, 20 miles each day, so through some of the most beautiful parts of the city, some of the northern suburbs, and we walked into the downtown area and finished walking into Soldier Field, and it was really
That's
exciting.
Great. That's great.
Very emotional. So.
Well, Nancy, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back in just a couple minutes. We'll be changing chairs out again. Hi, this is Terry Curry. We're back again. I've got three two new guests and one guest that was there with us a minute ago. Terry Lyon is right here, and Nancy Foxon and Brett Guerra. Is that good, Brett? Did I do it okay? Okay. We're going to take a look at some photos, some pictures. Terry is probably, in another life, was a photographer or something, because she takes pictures of everything every time this organization's ever been together. So we're going to take a look at some of the pictures and kind of talk about them and where they were, because we've all been traveling together and going to different races, and just trying to keep up with them is incredible. So Chad, thanks. Okay, that's just a group photo, and that's probably one of the first big group photos we had. That is on a migration.
This is an awesome picture. Yes, this was one of our migrations to West Liberty.
Just to explain a little bit, now's the time?
Now is the time to
Okay.
talk about the wildebeest.
Wildebeest. We had a little thing going on here a couple years ago where we did some rather odd things, some people might think. We ran to West Liberty and did a 5K at West Liberty, and we ran to Grandview and did a 5K at Grandview. And the West Liberty one, if I'm not correct, everybody placed in their age group.
Everyone placed in their age group.
And so we became the Wildebeests, and I think that was somebody's idea. I don't know who.
Yours.
The Wildebeests don't go to races. They don't race. They have migrations, just like when we were all back on the plains of Africa. So we have a lot of fun with it, and it's just a good time. So if you look at some of these pictures, some of them we'll try and tell you where they're at. This is obviously at the Y, and probably a typical Saturday morning run.
Peterman.
This is Peterman Pentathlon in Cedar Rapids.
That was last year's.
Last year.
And that's on the track.
Joe
And
Timpson.
Is that Joe?
That's Joe in the lead.
Doesn't look like you, Joe.
Terry girl.
Terry and Terry.
Terry. Look at it. You're
Yes.
ahead of me before we even start.
Oh, but not for long.
Nancy Foxon
Nancy
And
Fox.
Bill Ryan.
and Bill Ryan.
I like that one. I'm ahead of him.
You like that one. She won, actually she broke 2 records that last year.
Golf course. Where's that one? Turkey trot.
That's the turkey trot, migrating to the turkey trot.
Last year.
Right. That was what that was from.
And
okay.
this is the turkey trot.
Color of the day is red.
Color
Wear
of
your
the
red
day.
shirt.
That's another thing that Terry puts out an email to about 80 of us every week, and a lot of the pictures are in there like this. And she also picks a color of the week, so
Color
everybody
scheme.
tries to wear that. And some of us guys in particular probably forget what the color is, or are color blind, and can't figure it out.
This
Joe's
is
wildebeest run.
Yeah, the wildebeest run.
That was the one that Joe organized.
9.3.
Here's what we did one Saturday morning. They had the Hawkeye hauler, and boy, I forgot about some of these.
That's icy day.
Yeah, it was an icy day, and we all took canned goods over to the Hawkeye hauler. And this was the following weekend when we went and bought Christmas gifts,
Toys for Tots.
Toys for Tots, and delivered those as well
At Krieger's, yes.
at Krieger's.
The Hawkeye hauler.
So we look for reasons to run, which I know that sounds sick to some people. That was a great picture. I like that
Small
picture.
but mighty group. It was very cold that morning.
Oh, man. Who's
One
that
of my
guy?
favorites.
Look at that old guy there. He's got more icicles on his mustache than he does on the trees.
It was very, very cold
That's
that
cold.
morning.
That was cold. One of the people that's not here tonight, Tony Carl, has run, I don't know how many marathons he's up to now, but he runs them back to back. I don't think he trains anymore. I think he just goes and runs marathons.
This is our jingle jog.
This was last Christmas.
This is last Christmas, and we're going to have another one this Christmas, December 20th.
I took that picture actually.
Mario found that tree along the side of Mulberry.
Somebody lost their tree.
Oh, Dell's New Year's Day run.
I missed that one.
Yes, it was.
That was cold that day.
Lots of pictures. Well, we've got, I think there's about 180 of these pictures in there, I think. So let's go on and maybe chat a little bit while we're still watching the show. Brett, tell me a little bit about your running experiences. I caught you, didn't I? You weren't ready for that. You are in high school now?
Yeah, 9th grade.
9th grade, okay. And you've been running through middle school?
Mm-hmm.
What distances did you run during middle school and that?
In cross country in high school, it's always 2.5 miles. And then in track in middle school, I did the 1,500 and 800. That's the longest you can do. But in track in high school, you can do the 3,000.
And did you go to state, or did I hear something about this year?
Yeah, this year. I went to the state cross country meet at Fort Dodge.
How did you do in that?
I did pretty good. I got 17th.
Okay, that's good for a freshman. Is that right?
Very good.
Nancy is a coach, middle school coach at L&M. Is that right, Nancy?
Right.
Okay, I got it right, huh?
Yes.
And what kind of time would you be looking for? I mean, I don't know the times in.
Oh, for 2.5, like Brett's been under 16. That's really good for 2.5. So,
Okay.
yeah, because at the beginning of the season, you have some girls that'll be running 18, and so she started out even at the beginning of the season under 16. Like our first meet at L&M, you were under 16, weren't you? Or right around 16.
Yeah, like 1550 some.
Yeah. So I think that's really good. I think like if you're going to have a team that goes to state for cross country, you got to have the girls under 17. So, but she's way under that. So she does awesome.
Okay. You don't do too bad yourself, Nancy. You know, what I've seen, and one of the things I've noticed, because we go as a group a lot of times. Oh, great picture. We go as a group a lot of times, and one of the things that I've noticed about Nancy is she puts her game face on right before the race. We are in St. Charles. It is pouring buckets of rain, and everybody's just kind of, this is miserable. It's Ike kind of thing. And here sits Nancy, just focused, like, I'm going to do this kind of thing. What I know you do that and you prep yourself for the race, whether it's
I just get nervous beforehand. It doesn't matter what race it is. I do get nervous, and I think for that one, when it was raining down so hard, I was just planning out like, how do I want to run this? Because even at that point, I'm still like, should I just run it and have fun, or should I like take it seriously and still try? So that's probably what I was thinking at that moment. Yeah. So I still tried, and then I ended up like. I think a lot of people that morning, though, just decided not to even go out because it was raining so hard. And even in our hotel, people just turned around. It was like, forget it. And I mean, God, I think about that day and I'm like, oh man, we were crazy. But with a group of us, it made it easier to go out and do it. So
we had a great time in the hotel.
Yeah,
we had a hall party. We had a hall party, and I don't know if there's any of those pictures in there or not, Chad, but we had a hall party. It lasted 4 or 5 hours, just sitting there.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun because nobody was really beat up on. It was 10 miles, which sounds like a lot to a lot of people, but when you've trained for a marathon,
quit the race early.
Speaking of which, they're missing a sign in St. Charles. You can get that, Chad. They were missing a sign at mile 26. We had a couple people go out, and after the race was over, and they came back with balloons. Tony Carl and Mario Garcia came back with the balloons from the finish line, and then lo and behold, Terry pulls out the 26-mile cute as a bug sign, it says on it. And so we just had a great time there.
We did, but the story behind this is we didn't get to finish our 26-mile marathon that we set out to do on the day of the marathon. So the next morning, Terry had talked with us about the Katy Trail, and we had to run the Katy Trail. We got up bright and early, and the very next morning we went out and we finished that marathon. So we did come home, and we deserved this 26-mile
we had a good time.
Mile marker.
We had a good time. Nancy, you've been to Boston. Is
Right,
that right?
2006.
Okay, and you've qualified again recently. Tell us about Boston. How do you qualify? And you know, a lot of people don't understand that whole process.
Sure. Just based on different age groups, like I think it's under 35. You have to be a marathon pace of or you have to finish your marathon in 3 hours 40 minutes, and then it goes up like when you're 40 years old. This is for women. It might be 3:45, and then another 5 years, add another 5 minutes. For guys, it's more difficult. I'm not sure what your age groups and times have to be. For you, it's 4 hours.
For me, I got to be under 4 hours, and so I was able to do that this year, which was good.
Yeah.
But it's the only one that I'm aware of that is a qualifier, or that you have to qualify for in order to participate in. Joe's sitting out in the audience. I'm kind of looking at you. Huh?
New York. Oh yeah, New York's a lottery.
Okay.
Lottery.
Okay. So it was a lot. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you'll have fun.
You're not going?
I don't think so. I want to join my sister, and
Okay.
she lives out in Utah, and I'm going to do a marathon out there.
Okay.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Terry, you've
Yes.
done 3 marathons this year?
Well, 2, and then
the
St.
one-
Charles
St.
that
Charles.
was cut short. But we did finish our 26th. Yes.
And this was your second and third ones? Or third and fourth?
I've done 4
did?
total. The first one I did was in Dallas, and that was in 2006.
Okay. And then in 2007, what did
I did I didn't do any in 2007, and then this year I did
Counting St. Charles.
St. Louis, St. Charles, and Storm Lake.
Okay. How do you prepare yourself for marathons?
Mentally,
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is mental. As I found out with the ultra, I had only since running in Storm Lake, I had only ran 16 and a half miles, and I didn't know if I could finish an ultra with just that few of miles. But I had built up all the first 6 months of the year. I had done several 20s, and I thought I can do this, and that I did. I finished a 33-mile trail run.
Terry and Stacy Eberhard and I probably ran most of that race together.
I lost you guys somewhere the last 5 miles.
Well, I think we lost you.
No, you lost. Yes, definitely. But it was awesome.
Yeah, it was something that I always remember, and
Me too.
I know Nancy ran it, Terry ran it, I ran it, Stacy Eberhard,
Tony Carl,
Lori Ash,
Joe Timpson, Dave Timpson,
who else? Who am I missing? Nancy Shell.
Nancy Shell.
Okay. But it was quite an experience, and it's one of those things that you hear about and you think about and you go, I don't know if I can do that. But it's a totally different pace than running a marathon, and for me, it was kind of funny. How many times I fall?
I think 5.
You knew what I was going to say. I fell 5 times. Fortunately, not seriously. Just had a lot of bloody kneecaps and things when I finished. And the poor little girl in one of those pictures was looking at my legs, and there was just blood running down. It was just surface stuff. It wasn't any big deal. But it was quite an experience. Quite an experience.
Yeah.
Brett, what are you doing? You're up there awful quiet. Okay. What are your plans in terms of doing longer distances? Or do you have any?
I haven't really done like a half marathon or anything, but I hope someday to do one.
Okay. Well, you keep running the way you're running, and that, I'm sure, would not be a problem. Not be a problem. I know your dad comes out and runs with us sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He likes to run. Is that your influence in terms of running?
I try to like get him to run. He'll join us sometimes, but if I tell him to come, he'll usually get out and come.
Okay. Nancy, Quad Cities, what did you do? What was your time?
3:29.
Is that your first time under 3:30?
It is, yeah.
That's a great PR.
Thank you.
PRs are personal records is what that stands for anybody that doesn't know. We talk a funny language sometimes, like DNF we don't talk about at all, which is does not finish. Okay, we don't talk about that because that's something we don't do. What are some of the other acronyms and things that we use? Wildebeests.
Yeah.
That's not an acronym, but a name.
Yeah.
So.
Can I talk about these shirts that we're wearing?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
These shirts that we're wearing, Terry got, we had our largest migration down to St. Louis. There's 21 of us that went down from Muscatine. And I think what's so great about our Terry girl is she makes everybody feel welcome. whenever. So if anybody's, wants to join us on a Saturday morning run, you're more than welcome. And that's what's so nice about our group is that we have all different paces that join Muscatine Running Friends. And so, out of 21 people, they're not all going to run the same. But at any rate, we all got these red shirts, singlets that we wore down there. And it was so neat because at that marathon, people could recognize who was from Muscatine, and they're like, "Go Muscatine!" So anytime we wear these shirts whenever we go running, it's really a nice thing because they recognize where we're from.
Well, one of the other things I've noticed is we also have Wildebeests shirts that are green, and they say Wildebeest. Why is it? They're putting the picture of me in that towel. Wildebeest shirts that, and you go to these expos the day before a marathon, where they're selling all kinds of things from clothing and shoes to food and so on. And everywhere you went, people were going, what are these, what is with this wildebeest? Because we had like 20 of us in St. Louis, and St. Charles was about the same way. So we have had a lot of fun with it. We make fun out of running. It's not just getting out and jogging around a track. It's doing a lot more, and this year has been incredible.
Yes.
In terms of some of the things you think back. I saw Joe had a Distance Classic shirt on. The Distance Classic this year in the Quad Cities it's a half marathon only, and during the half marathon, the wind was 45 miles an hour, and the rain was constantly pouring down, and you would have thought we were kind of nuts. But once you went outside, it's one of those, once you're outside, you get all wet, and it's like, it's all over. So, what races, I know you're watching
I love looking at those
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun.
What races are you looking forward to next year? Anybody?
There's one in Illinois that's a new one, a new marathon out there.
It's the Illinois Marathon, I think,
Yeah,
isn't it? And it's in
Champaign, right?
Champaign.
Okay.
I think that one would be interesting to try.
That's in April, I think.
Yeah.
And
Ogden, Utah. I'm definitely going out there.
oh yeah?
Yeah, I think that's. I can't remember what month that's in. May.
And
May.
And Joe Timpson, I know he's challenged us before to our 33-mile trail run, and some of us are considering maybe a 50-miler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only 17 more miles. No big deal. One of the things you got to remember too, though, in trail running, it is much more technical. Is that the right word, Joe? Than running a marathon. And you do have to be careful, but you do run at a much slower pace, or at least I do. You don't, when the group of us, I know Terry and Stacy and I, when we set out, it was to finish. It wasn't to break any certain time. I mean, yeah, it was nice. We were in under 7 hours, I think, and that was great, but it was not to really go out and win something. Now, Joe, on the other hand, keep talking about Joe, he was there. He was there. So. And Nancy was too. Nancy, did you finish first?
No, I was third.
Okay. Fifth overall.
Go ladies.
Wow. No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is amazing when you go to some of these races and you see the number of people in your age group. You sometimes feel like, well, I'm the only one doing this at my age, and you get there and it's like, there's a dozen of these guys. That makes it all worthwhile and challenging, I guess. So.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about today too, this girl back here, Brett, she's got this race coming up this weekend, and it's all the way in Wisconsin. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's the regional cross-country meet in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Wow.
It's the Foot Locker one.
How many states? Do you know?
It's the Midwest.
It's the Midwest, so okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
And I think she's going to have, it's a 5K rather than a 2.5.
Yeah,
so
it's a
it'll be a little
5K.
bit, yeah.
Yep.
But she's had enough practice doing 5Ks.
Yeah, I like 5Ks better.
Yeah, she's a strong runner.
Well, you guys, what am I missing? We've been chatting and tried to jot down some things.
I did bring something in today, a flashlight, because we're going running tonight after this. And so, anyways, it's been getting darker earlier. So I thought it'd be cool to do some Halloween My sister Kathy told me to bring that up. Okay, but anyways, at the same, awesome. Look at, oh my gosh, Terry girl, can
My
you?
turn?
Okay, that's lots of fun. Okay, yeah. Woo. Okay, but you know,
Terry,
like
do you
it's
wanna
safe
take
to, you
this
gotta
away
be
from
careful
us?
out there because it's been getting so dark so early, and so anyways, I got some flashlights for us because yeah, it's been crazy getting dark so early. Last week when we went out, it was dark by 5 o'clock, and it's getting colder. So many flashlights will hopefully make it better.
I got a better idea.
What?
Why don't you get up at 3:45
Oh my
with
gosh, I'm not a morning girl.
me? 3:45.
No,
We're gonna do
it's still
9
dark
miles.
then too.
Yeah, of course it's dark.
Maybe not so many dogs.
There's deer
Deer.
all over the place on Mulberry.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Terry.
And it's been kind of fun, and we'll
Thank you.
have to do this again. So I appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoys this. Maybe gives you some ideas on what you can do, and in terms of running, and the group here is always there to help people. So Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, unless there's another race somewhere.
If Saturday morning doesn't work out for you, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. Wednesday night, 5 p.m. at the Y. We meet at the Y on Saturday mornings also. And then Sunday mornings at MHS. And if you don't want to go the distance, sometimes we run farther than other people want to run. Just go as far as you want and then turn back.
Okay, in signing off here, I would like to turn this over to Terry Lyon to sign off as she does with her emails every week.
At the very end of every Running Friends newsletter, we have to say, keep smiling, keep running, keep smiling.
KRKS.
KRKS.
Right.
Keep running, keep smiling.
Okay, thanks a lot.